When you hear the word brand, I'm sure the first thing that comes to mind is the brand identity, what your graphics look like, what your visuals look like, maybe even what your messaging or your tone of voice is. And I agree with you. That's part of it. In my work, I believe in a brand as business management style. And so not only is your brand that, but it is so much more. Welcome back to day 3 of the brand alignment sprint. I am sharing 30 days of just brand alignment thoughts and strategies and things to consider as you identify these challenges within your business or organization. And my name is Abriana. I'm the principal consultant at Black Unicorn Creative, and it is our job to help business leaders like you understand who you are, how you operate, and how other people experience you, and make sure there's alignment throughout those 3 things. So, today we're going to talk about 5 signs, signals that your company has a brand alignment issue. And I want to go back to that definition of brand. There are some industry leaders that I have really learned from in considering my approach to brand and branding and the difference between the two, and how we can lead organizations with a focus on one or the other and get into 2 completely different directions. So I just want to share some resources that I have started out with that have helped inform my opinion. The first book is the Brand Gap by Marty Newmeyer. And Marty believes that the definition of a brand is a person's gut feeling about a product, service, or company. And we can influence it by communicating the qualities that make the product different than a different product. So Marty is saying that your brand is that gut feeling. And I like to think of it as that association. What feeling is associated with your brand? Well, it is our job to do our best to try to design that feeling and influence that feeling. But how do you do that? And that is where we get into this brand as business. If you were thinking branding like I'm just going to try to influence this association or gut feeling by having graphics that speak to the moody, having moody colors and moody font and moody graphics because I want to have a moody brand. That's one thing. But if it doesn't actually show up or follow through your customer experience and how your business operates, not that your business is going to be operating as moody, but that it's not a consistent thread throughout that, people are going to get confused. And this is why I appreciate Denise Lee Yon's definition of brand in her book, What Great Brands Do. I will share a link to both of these in the comments. They will be affiliate links because I'm an Amazon affiliate. But Denise says that a brand is a bundle of values and attributes that define the value you deliver to people through the entire customer experience and the unique way of doing business that forms the basis of your company's relationship with all of its stakeholders. And so there again, you have that word relationship, that association. What are you doing to inform that relationship or that association with your key stakeholders, not even just your customers? And I think that's where a lot of brand initiatives tend to fall a little flat. So now that you've had 2 kind of different definitions, we can start thinking about brand a little bit differently and understand what these signals of alignment could possibly be as they show up within our businesses and organizations. And so oftentimes when we think of brand, we're thinking those visuals, the messaging and the marketing, the advertising, and it just does not stop there. We do have to think about what that looks like throughout the organization. And there are some gaps that happen within the internal side of things that can let us know that we're having an alignment issue, and we probably should put some measures in place to address it sooner rather than later, before it either gets to an external level or becomes more of a problem. So sign number one that your company's having a brand alignment problem is that your customers describe the experience that they're having differently every time they talk to a different person. If they say that they, were troubleshooting with one person and had a great experience, called back to someone else and had a horrible experience, called back to someone else and was passed on to someone else, and they're not really getting the resolutions that they need, that's a problem. That's something that we should keep an eye out for. If we're having tickets or challenges over an extended amount of time from our customers saying, okay, we need help with something, and it's extended, it's not resolved quickly, that's a signal that something is happening. Something is not connecting between the members on our teams. Sign number two, if you ask your team members, what does your business stand for? What does your brand stand for? If you ask 5 team members and you get 5 completely different answers, that is an indication that we're having a brand problem. If your employees don't understand what you represent, why you exist, what you are, what makes you different in the marketplace, what makes you stand out, what makes your customers absolutely obsessed with buying, then how are they supposed to translate that into the interactions that they have with the different stakeholders involved with the organization? How are they supposed to understand the standard in which you operate if they're not sure the foundation in which you stand? The third sign that you're having a brand alignment challenge is that your marketing sounds stronger than your delivery feels. If your sales team is cringing at the marketing that is put out, if your operations or delivery team is like, oh, we're in the position to overpromise and under deliver, that is not that screams misalignment right there, because then there ends up being feelings of resentment internally to say, hey, we can't do that. We don't have the resources. We don't have the buy-in. We don't have the approval to do the things that you're marketing. You've created an entire campaign when the product is not even there yet. The product cannot deliver on the things that you promise. We are not aligned in message and delivery, and that is a huge problem that I've seen within organizations where they're well-meaning and their marketing is aspirational, where their reality is not quite caught up yet. And so when you go to deliver that experience, the clients end up a little bit disappointed or underwhelmed. There's no wow or delight factor. And so your retention rates are low. And you go into this flywheel of having to spend more money acquiring new clients again. So that is signal number 3. Signal number 4. If you are in leadership and you feel like you have been saying the same thing over and over and over, but no behaviors have changed, there's no shift in what's actually happening. The messages that you have been delivering do not actually actualize into change behavior. There's a disconnect there. There is a disconnect there. When I'm working with leaders, especially in my equine facilitated work, I use this example of, being able to set direction and having someone say, hello, team, today we are going to change the world. And the team is like, okay, yes. But that's how? What are we going to do first? How are we going to change the world today? Like, what do you want me to do in the next month, next week, next day to reach your objectives, right? That is a disconnect in, okay, wait a minute. This is what you say we're pursuing. This is what you say is valuable to the company, but I don't have any behaviors that support doing that. Or, putting out a mission that does not articulate what that looks like on a daily basis. If we are offering support to a particular community, what does that support look like? Those are some of the things that you should keep an eye out for, especially if you have undergone some change in that message. If you say, okay, we're going to adjust our positioning, we're going to adjust our focus, but people still feel like they're operating the exact same on a daily basis, your brand has not actualized into the operation. And so you're not going to see the fruits of those roots. There's a disconnect there. And lastly, sign number 5 that your brand has a brand alignment problem is new hires take too long to understand what your standard looks like, what good looks like within your organization or company. If you are bringing on new team members and they are not entrenched in what it means to be a part of this company, what it means for their role, what it means for who they interact with, whether it be on their team or externally, what it means for who they report to. If they don't understand that quickly, then there's some discrepancy in how it's communicated in your onboarding. It is not a feeling that they can put their fingers on. It doesn't feel tangible to them. They can't put it on like a blanket and say, wow, okay, now I understand what's going on here, and this is how I fit. If it takes a really long time for that to happen across the board, one employee, okay, maybe you need to work a little harder with that person. But if it is a group of people, if the last few hires have just taken a really long time to acclimate into the culture of your organization, it's because that the brand that you are saying that you stand for, those business foundations, what you stand for, and what you value, and what you're going to prioritize, and what makes you different. If those things don't stand out to new employees, it's going to take them a really long time to get on the same page and be performing at the level that you expect, that you desire, as early as possible. So if you have 2 or 3 of these things happening within your organization, within your business, you likely are experiencing a larger issue than just our brand campaign did not work. Our marketing campaign did not perform like we wanted. Our brand efforts, our brand department, that identity part of brand did not perform. It's not just that. It's not just that. Your brand is the literal fabric. I know in my previous video I talked about it being the nerves to your hands. We have all these different touch points. Those are the fingers. Is how are we touching and impacting other people in this world, whether it be investors, customers, employees, people in our local communities, those touch points, and the brand is your nerves that go to that. If it's getting a little numb, there's some connection that is just not happening like it's supposed to. If you're experiencing three or four of those things, it is not just going to be solved by fixing your messaging. There is we need to take a step back and look at the bigger picture and understand, are we communicating our brands effectively? Are we actualizing them? Are we operationalizing them? Are we understanding how our brand contributes to our behaviors and contributes to the experiences that we want to create within our business? So if you see one of those signals in your business, drop it below in the comment section. I want to hear about it. I want to know what you're doing to address it, or if this gave you a light bulb in your head to say, I have been experiencing that and I probably need to work on it. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.